Welcome in my hobby workshop. It is simply a wardrobe specially made for electronics. On the right side I have tools, on the left side I have some tools. Today's job what I am going to have is to modify this printer. I started with getting off the pile of stuff what I have on my printer. Then I began to take apart the housing of the printer. Some pieces were holding together very well. Now I had to remove the circuit board on which is the power connector and the on-off switch. I unscrewed the screws which were holding the board, and I also needed to unplug some connectors. The plan is to remove the power connector because I have very tight space in my hobby workshop. The original connector maybe looks fancy, but is very space consuming behind the printer, and I am fighting with centimeters in my workshop. When I will have finished the modification, I will be able to have placed my printer enough in the back of the workshop. This I wouldn't be able to do if I have the original lead cable plugged in. So this modification will save me my very valuable place in my workshop, and I also will be able to have the printer permanently plugged in. I also want to have the on-off switch on the front side of the printer. Alright, now when I remove the power connector and the switch from the circuit board, I can solder there a lead cord. I found one in my home supplies, and I just need to shorten it into right length, because if I would have a long line cord, it would cost me another space in my workshop. I slip on the cable an insulating tube, and I made a hole into the circuit board so I could secure the cord with a zip tie. Alright, the cord is done. The next thing what I'm making is some kind of an extension cable so I could pull out the switch to the front side of the printer. I started to attach the board back to the printer. I found nearly an ideal but narrow hole inside the front side of the printer from which the cable for the switch can go. With the help of the harder wire, I pulled the cable into the front right side of the printer, where I found good spot to place the on-off switch. Then I needed to connect back the disconnected wires. I'm making sure that nothing will be in the way where the switch will be. Then I marked the spot and I started to drill out and file the hole for the switch. Then I soldered the wires onto the switch, and I also use heat shrink tubing because there will be permanent mains voltage on the switch. The soldering on the printer is done. After that, I assembled back the covers for the printer. Everything fits. These holes I'm gonna cover with this aluminum plate. The bend of the cable sticks out a bit. Sometimes in my workshop are rough conditions, for example heavy tools drop. This could make a pull on the USB plug and possibly damage the connector, so I'm gonna rather secure the cord with this clamp. I needed to drill a hole in this spot inside, what I call the table in my workshop. The hole had to be wide enough so I could pull through it the USB plug. The USB cable is then brought on the door of the wardrobe, where I will be ready for the plug-in in my laptop. I use insulating tubes for hanging the cable, and it is the cheap and easy way to do it. I am already using with this system my external hard drive, and it serves me good. Then I also want to make a small platform on my printer. I am very limited with the space in my small workshop, and I found this place on the printer very valuable for me to have. These two pieces of hardwood will support the front side of the platform. Since I don't want to spend 2 days on this build, I am choosing the quick and the cheap way to do it, and I am attaching the support pieces permanently using the hot glue and screws onto the printer. The platform is a piece of one-side laminated MDF. I use this stuff since I was small, and you sure will see me using it in other videos. I want to have the platform removable, so the platform will just sit on these two small pieces of wood. The last thing for me to modify is this piece of plastic which holds the printed paper. If it would be such long as it originally is, I wouldn't be able to close the door on my wardrobe/workshop, so I need to shorten it. This printer I saved from going into the recycling in my work. I bought a new part and I repaired what was wrong in the printer. A newer printer maybe wouldn't fit so well in my workshop as this one. This printer I had nearly for free, so I don't care so much about damaging it. I can tell that before this modification a simple task as to print something was a hated job to do for me, because I needed to find the cables and connect them into the printer, and then I needed to find a paper, fill it in and take away the pile of stuff from about the printer. After this modification I have the printer ready for printing. All what I need to do is to turn on the printer and plug it in my laptop. The paper is ready in the printer and I am able to immediately print what I need. I didn't lose the storage place on the printer, and I am also able to close the doors on the wardrobe, and I have the printer ready for use. So let's do a test.